Yo, what's up? It's E2000. Woo, I'm representing I See Me. Let's do it. Aha. I see me, 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 I see me. Help bunch of them see themselves in history. I see you, but I don't see me. That's what we do, help children see. And we give them self-esteem about themselves in history. I see me is all about fun and games, from modern days to King James. It's educational in many ways that memorizing people back in the days, such as Daniel in the Lion's Den, or Moses finding the 10 Commandments. African American are not just poor, as shown in verse 44. I see me, positivity, and now I see that I contributed in the making of the United States. But wait, I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things, and now I see that.
All right. How's everybody doing? Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, great. Welcome everybody to the I See Me Spotlight series. Thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. It's been a while since we had the Spotlight series. Over the summer, we did some different things. We did Wind Down Wednesday, highlighting adult books and some things out in the community. So now we're starting it back for another season, and this is a great one to start with. So you guys definitely sit back, relax, and definitely enjoy the program. And also, you know, if you're seeing this on Facebook, share this so other people can also join, so they don't miss out on this great program we have today. We just look forward to having this discussion with you. So please, in the chat, please let's have this be a dialogue. Just let me know that you're there. Let me know what organization you're there representing, what state and city you're probably calling in from, and just so we can sort of get to know one another a little bit as throughout the program. Feel free to ask questions and comments throughout the program at certain points throughout. I definitely will make sure the panelists be able to address those as well. I'm very happy that everyone has joined. Again, just to tell you a little bit about I See Me, myself and my wife started I See Me a while ago. We started I See Me about maybe 10, 12 years ago, but the brick and mortar bookstore, we started in 2015. And in 2015, we opened up in University City in outside of St. Louis, Missouri. And since then, we grew to a larger space. And our mission really is just to make sure, as raising our own children, we saw this deficit in schools and in libraries and in the curriculums of them not being able to see themselves. And so we wanted to really do what we could to make sure that we fill that gap. And we wanted to sort of extend this out even beyond our children to all the children in our community. So I See Me was born because we want each child to have representation in the books that they read, so that when they open up the book, they can say, I see me. I see me in history. I see me as a contributor. I see me, you know, as a significant individual and a legacy of people who have contributed greatly to this country and to this world. So a part of this Spotlight series that we started is that we also wanted to have a platform that we could also speak to some of the brilliant creative minds that have created these beautiful books. A lot of times before we started the bookstore, people would say, there's not a lot of books out there. And it's like, wow, you guys, you know, once we started to look, we're like, there are a lot of books out there. Definitely not enough. There always could be more. But the ones that are out there are just so beautifully illustrated. They're so creative and the stories that they're telling. And so we wanted to have a platform so we could talk to these creative people and let you guys know exactly a little bit more about them as well. So that's kind of the behind the scenes of the Spotlight series that we wanted to make sure that we made you aware of. So in today's program, we have sort of two parts. We actually have first, on the first section, that we have representatives from the Andrea Feltus, if I mess this up, I'm sorry, Andrea Feltus Flynn Scholarship and Support Foundation. And they have a presentation to do. And so I'd like to spotlight Miss Andrea Flynn and Miss Valerie Davis. Welcome to the Spotlight series.
Well, thank you and welcome. Also, we're glad to be able to just see what we saw there. That was phenomenal.
Oh,
that was awesome introduction, the musical introduction. that was like a history lesson right there.
Nice,
I don't know if
nice,
we can come back from that. That was great.
nice,
So
nice.
thank you for having us before your IC Me Spotlight audience and guests. I'd like to introduce our secretary that's on the board, Valerie Davis. Do a little
Hello,
wave,
hello,
Val. I
everyone.
can't see you.
Hello, everyone.
So we're glad to join you all on this evening for this special occasion to present goodness to the world that is watching. And that goodness is being able to present the Community Service Award, a community organization award, to the IC Me bookstore, African American Children's Bookstore. So that is the privilege that we have before us tonight. And we would like to start off by presenting him with this certificate that should be on the screen shortly. All right, the AFSF, which stands for Andrea Feltus Flynn Scholarship and Support Foundation, we present our 2021 Community Organization Award presented to IC Me, African American Children's Bookstore, October 5th, 2021. The Andrea Feltus Flynn Scholarship and Support Foundation congratulates you as one of our 2021 Community Organization recipients. You are an important, inclusive innovator in the greater St. Louis community by meeting the needs and filling a tremendous gap in the bookstore industry for African American and multicultural literature. You are making a difference in the lives of young people and old alike, who through books can travel anywhere and have an eye-opening experience of a lifetime. We believe that you will soar to even higher heights. It is our honor and privilege to present this award to you. We wish the IC Me bookstore continued success moving forward. The best is yet to come.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Let's give them a
much.
hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow,
Well,
this really
thank you
means
for
a
what you're
lot.
doing for the community.
Yes, yes. It's a labor of love, a labor of love. Pam wish she could be here as well. And we spoke about this a little bit earlier. And it's one of those things that starting a business is not easy. And along the way, you get those points where it's like, I don't know, should we continue? Should we? It's getting rough. But things like this where we get appreciation and that the work is not in vain really, really helps us. It energizes us to continue to move forward. So thank you very much. And we're looking forward to it because we really want to help more students, and this will definitely help us do that. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you. Continue the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations.
All right. Thank you. This is amazing. Great. Thank you guys so much. Wow. So that's what about the community, just supporting one another, helping one another. And so this definitely is going to go a long way. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Mr. Blair, you made us look really smart in selecting you for this award because that intro was just awesome.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. The engineer that we have right now is my son. He actually created that, wrote that song and created that.
Oh my.
How old were you? 10. He was 10 years old when he created that. Yeah.
Oh,
10 years
wow.
old. Yeah. So
So
definitely.
greatness runs in the family.
Music. Yeah. So he's definitely come a long way. So yes. No, thank you for
Wonderful.
that. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely.
You're welcome.
Yes. All right. So wow. Okay. I'm blushing now because it's really great. Really, really great. And Monday comes to the award again. I just want to say, we have a book box subscription service where parents can sign up their children and allow them to receive a book at their house every day, 2 books in the box that comes, and every month. And a part of that is because one of the biggest predictors of academic success is books in the home. And so we want to try to help fuel that and make it as easy as possible so that, children can be surrounded by books that can really get them excited about reading and keep them excited about reading. And so this will be utilized in order to assist for those that may be unable to afford, that now they will be able to afford because of the award. So thank you again for that. And I'm going to make sure that it goes to great use.
Wonderful.
Thank you. A new book just came out, and I'm very excited because I have both the illustrator as well as the author here with us. And the name of the book is Kwame Nkrumah's Midnight Speech for Independence. And it is written by Mr. and please help me with the first, Usini?
Yes, sir.
Usini Eugene Perkins and Miss Laura Freeman as the illustrator. All right, so welcome guys on to the Spotlight program. And I think what I'll do first is I'll read a little brief of the bio of both, and then we can kind of get into our discussion, okay? Usini Eugene Perkins is a multifaceted writer and activist who was a prominent voice in the Black arts movement. His writing for young people include Home in the Dirty Street, The Social Oppression of Black Children, Rise of the Phoenix, Voices from Chicago's Black Struggle, 1960 to 1975 from Third World Press, Poetry from the Masters, Black Arts Movement from Just Us Books, and the celebrated picture book, Hey Black Child, Little Brown, illustrated by Brian Collier. In 1999, he was inducted into the Gwendolyn Brooks Library Hall of Fame. In 2003, Usini was featured in HistoryMakers.com, a digital archive dedicated to preserving histories of African Americans. He has traveled to Ghana many times. In 2007, he was inducted into the Gefia Society in Akatsi, Volta region, Ghana, and installed as their academic development chief under the stool name of Togboya Perkins Agbale I. Visit him at his website, blackchildjournal.com. Welcome, Mr. Usini Perkins, to ICME Spotlight. And also with us as well as illustrator for this latest book, Laura Freeman is an award-winning illustrator of over 30 picture books for children, including Hidden Figures, The True Story of 4 Black Women and the Space Race by Maggot Lee Shetterly, Kamala Harris, Rooted in Justice by Nikki Grimes, and Dream Builders, the story of architect Philip Freeland by Kelly Sterling Lyons. She also illustrated 6 titles in the I Love To series. A graduate of the School of Visual Arts in New York City, Laura has been awarded the Coretta Scott King Illustrator Honor and the NAACP Image Award for her work. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia, with her husband and her 2 children. You can visit her at lfreemanart.com. Welcome, Ms. Freeman, to the ICME Spotlight series. All right, thank you guys so much for being here, and I just love the reading your bios. Can you spotlight both myself and Mr. Perkins and Ms. Freeman as well? Yeah. And so I was excited about this because this actually was released, I believe, on Nkrumah's birthday. Is that right? That's when the book release was. And I knew a little bit about him briefly. My father-in-law used to tell me about it a bit. But I was getting this book. It helped me, educate a little bit as well as I went back. But before I get into the details of the book itself, just a little bit, Mr. Perkins, tell me a little bit about your motivation in actually writing books in the first place. When did you first start writing books, in particular children's books?
Well, I was writing books for and about children back in 1975. But first, I would like to thank Wade and Cheryl Hudson for this book.
Can you guys hear him?
I wrote the text, but they enhanced it so much with information that they had accumulated. And I'm just thrilled and blessed that Laura Freeman, her illustrations kept the spirit of everything that I tried to write in the text. I've never met her before, but she able to capture, I think, the spirit of the text. And I think that's important. Books are not written by one person, not for children. Books, I call it an ensemble. I just wrote the text. And I've been very blessed to have traveled to Africa many times. And I dedicate this book to a dear African brother, Dr. Wilanya Poe, who lives in the Upper Volta of Ghana in the village of Gippie and Shupe. But most of my books have been written for children, because I think it's important that children receive the information that is important about their heritage, to give them information that they may not get in other books. So I've been very blessed to have had several books published, and many of you are familiar, I think, with Hey Black Child, which was published by Little Brown.
Yes,
Company.
absolutely, absolutely. With what was the motivation for this particular title, for this particular subject?
Well, this is a significant event in history as it relates to Africa. You have to be aware that in 1899, at the Berlin Conference, Africa was split up by European countries. Portugal, France, and England were the significant countries. Originally, Ghana was the Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And it reported many of enslaved Africans left from the shores of Ghana. And in my travels to Ghana, I've always been impressed with the tremendous monument in honor of Osagyefo, which means Redeemer, Kwame Nkrumah. And so I was motivated to do research and to study, and I try to accumulate as much information as possible. Actually, I've written a play about Kwame Nkrumah. It has never been produced, but we have had a reading. So I was motivated by my friend in the Upper Volta of Gambia, where I'm the educational chief when I was in school. And Kwame Nkrumah is interesting and so fascinating. When you look at where he was born and he came to America, he spent about 10 years here and he traveled back, but he was always wanting a free Africa. And what was very significant, and we tried to capture in this famous speech, he said, Ghana is not free unless all African is free. So he was a Pan-Africanist. But again, I like to thank Laura Freeman. Her illustrations are fantastic. She's able to capture W. Du Bois, C.L. James, Adam Clayton Powell for the Obsidian Church in Harlem. So I just was pleased that Wade and Cheryl Hudson felt that this was something that they wanted to publish, and they contributed tremendously, I think, to the publication.
And shout out to Just Us Books, Wade and Cheryl Hudson, right? They're the ones who put this together, the book publishers for this particular title. So shout out to them. And Miss Freeman, how did you get involved into this project, and why did you choose to participate in this project for this particular book?
Hi, Jeffrey. Thanks for having me. I was approached by Cheryl and Wade Hudson at Just Us Books with the manuscript, and I had done a few other books quite a few other books with them early on in my career, and they were some of the people who gave me my first break. And so when Cheryl called me, I was like, yeah, of course. I couldn't say no to Cheryl. So, and then when I read the manuscript, I just thought it was beautiful. I really didn't know very much about Kwame Nkrumah at all. And so, as is usual with working on biographies, I learned a lot. And Mr. Perkins is a wonderful teacher.
Nice. Yes. Yes. Like I said, I knew a little bit about just a very little bit about the story, but then that really helped me put into context and do a little bit more research. So it's good. It's a children's book, but it's really a family book because family will all learn together and in a very in a very fun way actually. And it's quite an amazing story. So what has the feedback been so far? It just came out a couple weeks ago, I think. So how has it been so far? What has the feedback been?
Well, I think the book received 5 stars from, I forget the name of the publication, which I think is significant. And I just think that the book deals with something that's very relevant to African Americans here. Because basically we are an African people and we have to connect with our African heritage. And I'm hopeful that this book, when it's read by children, can see their relationship with Africa, which is very important. So I think the book has already received 5 stars from, I forget the name of the publication company. Laura may be familiar with that.
Oh, someone, Kirkus.
Is it Kirkus?
Kirkus,
Maybe
yes.
somebody can put it in the chat, yeah.
Kirkus, yeah, absolutely. So right now we're just sharing some of the beautiful imagery that's there. That's really striking. It really pulls you into the story, Ms. Freeman, did you have what was your perspective in trying to do this? Did you have a particular strategy that you used and technique in trying to really bring out the story?
Well, after reading the manuscript and doing some research on Kwame Nkrumah, there were a lot of photographs online. I was able to find photographs on Google and different angles, videos from the speech, videos of Ghana on YouTube. I spent a lot of time just soaking up the imagery and reading about him. Yeah, and then wanting to make sure that I was true to Mr. Perkins' words and about, like it's in this particular illustration. I don't know if people can see it. The one with the map of Africa, and the little yellow area is Ghana. In the background, I like to put a lot of patterns and textures in my illustrations, and usually they're usually just decorative. But in this particular book, it just really worked out for me to be able to put images in the backgrounds, in the textures, patterns that were really significant to the story. For instance, if you look closely at the map of Africa, you can see the that famous old print of the slave ship and all the slaves packed in, head to toe. And if you can zoom in closely, you can see it.
Rick, yeah, I didn't notice that at first, but yeah, now that you point that out, I do see that. Yes.
The other thing is the patterns in where the water would be, that green area, are the a pattern made out of Adinkra symbols, which is something that's very, that you see everywhere in Ghana. And the particular symbol there is called Aquafina. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's called Sword of War, and it's a symbol of courage, valor, and heroism. So on each page, I tried to include a pattern made out of a particular adinkra that made sense with what that page was highlighting, of what Useni was trying to say.
Nice, nice. I could see. Yeah, yeah. I guess that's what pulls you. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Perkins.
I'd like to add one thing. Sister Laura is very modest, because in my opening text, I had Kwame Nkrumah wearing a dashiki. He didn't wear a dashiki. In her research, she did some intensive or extensive research to identify exactly the type of robe that he was wearing. I was not aware of that. I just assumed that he was wearing the dashiki, but he wasn't. So she was able to research that, and I give her all the credit.
Wow.
Well,
I can't enough for. If you look at the Adinkra symbols, if you look at the picture of Africa with the enslavement of enslaved Africans, how she was able to, the whole confluence of the illustrations, and to capture many of the players that were very much involved with Kwame Nkrumah. So I just wanted to mention that. He did a lot of research. Again, take a children's book, and especially this children's book, was like an ensemble. I wrote the text, but they enhanced it. Carol and Wade Hudson, and of course, the fabulous illustrator. Thank you.
Nice. No, it's, and as a, just seeing it all come together, it really is done quite well. And again, it's captivating. It pulls you into the story, the imagery and the words itself and the story itself.
I would just like to say that I can't take credit for all the research. I had a lot of help from Cheryl. We would email back and forth, and we would speak on the phone a few times. And I think it was Cheryl who caught that it wasn't the dashiki, that he was wearing the traditional Ghanaian robe. So I can't take all the credit. I really can't.
So a team effort. That's that's great. That's great. I highly recommend this book. I think it's it's a piece of our history, and there's not a lot of, if any, children's book that talk about this particular story that's out there. And so I think it's definitely something that you guys should include in your classroom. If you're a history class, absolutely this needs to be in there. If you're homeschooling, even for your children at home, this definitely is a part of it. The story's done very well, very respectful, and the words and the images just reflect one another in a very, very creative way. But yet you're still learning about our history in a great story. It's a children's book, but it's really a family book, because family, children, as well as adults can really learn a lot from this topic. So highly recommend it. And you can go to icme.com and get your copy actually today, and to make sure that you get added to it. Look at the beautiful colors. Very, very nice. So this, a pivotal part in our history, right? That take place. And kind of, Mr. Perkins, talk a little bit about why it's important for us, even though we're here in America. I'm in St. Louis, you have some in New York. We're not in Ghana or in Africa, but why is it important for us to understand this specific point in history?
Well, first, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I live in America, but we need to identify our heritage. You take Irish kids who identify with Ireland, Polish kids who identify with Poland. So our children in America, many times, they have a very negative attitude or vision about Africa. And so as a Pan-Africanist, I think it's important that we help them to understand the rich history, not just Nelson Mandela, Patrice Lumumba. There's many stories in Africa that we need to tell our children so they can begin to see the relationship. And so that's why I think it's so important. And Kwame Nkrumah, being the first prime minister of Africa before he became president. And he lived here in the United States for 10 years. And at the midnight speech, people from all over the world, dignitaries, came to Ghana to hear that speech. Dr. Martin Luther King, Adam Clayton Powell. The Queen was going to come, Queen Elizabeth, but the Duchess came and her. So it was one of the biggest events in the history of Africa because it ended, it was the beginning of the ending of colonialism in Africa.
Amazing. There's a couple questions that are there in the chat. One is directed to Miss Laura Freeman. Would love to know if Laura has a favorite spread from the book. Which one did she like creating the most?
You know what, if it's possible for me to share screen.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if I can find some of the images that I'd like to share, because there's actually two that I really like. Hang on, let me see if I can share this.
Sure.
Share. Oh, it doesn't look like it's, can you see that?
No. Sorry? You should be able to share.
Okay, hang on. It's asking me for a password. I'm sorry, hang on a second.
Okay, no problem.
Are you able to see it now?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. Oh, wait. Let me try it.
There we go. Something's coming. There we go. Yes. We can see. Yes.
This is an image from one of the images that I really enjoyed working on. And I found there were no photographs of the prison that he was in, James Fort Prison, but I found some video clips. And in the video clips, I was able to see like what the bars, they weren't your typical normal vertical prison bars. There was just concrete walls with these holes and, you know, windows that had bars in them. And so it was just, I felt like really excited that I was able to kind of capture what this particular prison, even though I've never been there, what it might have looked like. And the Adinkra symbols that are on him are, the one that I used is called Hai Wan Hai. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it symbolizes endurance and what he went through. Let me see if I can show you. So it was a toss-up between this one and this image, which is him standing on a street corner in Harlem addressing a crowd of people.
Nice.
These were two that I really, really enjoyed working on. And the symbol of that is on his shirt and on his cap are Nea Onim No Suwa Ohu, and it's a symbol of knowledge and lifelong education.
Nice. Absolutely.
These
Absolutely.
are two of my favorite images from the book.
And beautifully done. Absolutely. Love the colors here. It just pops.
Mm.
Wow. I'm hearing from Wade Hudson that the feedback on the book has been excellent. There's a lot of interest in different segments of the market, and sales are really good, which is good. And absolutely, yes, absolutely, yes. Congratulations to you guys. Also, I've seen feedback on social media expressed very similar sentiment to what you mentioned, Mr. Perkins, that this book is important because it speaks about Ghana's history. And too often when we have, like a lot of people would say African history, like Africa's a country, right? But this is a book that even says Africa is not a country, it's many countries, and Egypt is one of them, but so is Ghana. And too often we see only Egypt, many of the West Coast countries highlighted. So, it's important. And there's much more history from the diaspora to learn from the West Coast, from us in America.
In Africa, that's why he married the daughter of Nasser, because he wanted to show that Egypt is a part of Africa. So he married the Egyptian woman. That was his wife. We don't elaborate too much on the death threats that were made to Kwame Nkrumah. Flagstaff was the presidential compound. And without going into much deliberation, there's strong belief that the CIA was involved in many of the attempted assassinations of Kwame Nkrumah. And we know that he went to he went to Vietnam on a peace mission to talk with Ho Chi Minh. But the person that encouraged him came from Lincoln University, which is an HBCU college. He was the first Black ambassador that was sent to Ghana. So Kwame Nkrumah became a threat to American imperialism. And so I think that there is documentation that, we blame everything on the CIA, but let's face it, they have done some things in other cases. So that is not discussed in this particular piece. But this piece is really dealing with that tremendous speech that he made at midnight. He wanted to make it at midnight in March. That Africa is, if Ghana is not free, then all Africa, it has no meaning. He understood that because of his Pan-Africanist background.
One of the comments that's there, it says, many Black Americans don't know the historical connection they have to Kwame Nkrumah. There are so many Black men who bear his first name without knowing the name's origin.
Yeah. Kwame is the name given for the first on Saturdays. Children that were born on Saturdays. But he didn't take the name Kwame until later in his life. Asagifo was the name that he was given, which means redeemer.
I see. And so then later in life is when he took on the name Kwame.
Yes.
I see. One of the questions is, there's so much great info in the book. Can Brother Osene tell us one thing he wants to make sure readers take away from this book?
Well, I don't want to be redundant, but it's important that we understand our relationship with continental Africa. I think it's very important, not in a romantic notion, because everything is not perfect in Africa, but that's true of the whole world. It least it shows a relationship that they call us. There's no country called black. There's no Africa is really an imperialistic name anyway. And as you indicated, Jeffrey, that Africa is a continent. And that is not always taught to young people in schools. I think it's very educational. And I think that it hopefully will enhance young people's understanding of our relationship with the mother country, which is Africa. Not in a romantic way, but in a historical way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, speaking of which, many times when parents would come in, and these is like either black parents or even white parents, a lot of times they're like, I'm not sure, because a lot of these topics are difficult to talk to children about, right? When we're talking about colonialism and slavery, their reality, their history. But when speaking with children, sometimes parents or teachers are a little reluctant or uncomfortable. What is some advice you may have, either one of you, as far as speaking to children about this history?
There's a movement in this country that's trying to do away with Black history.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that some of you may be familiar with the New York Times article 1619.
Absolutely, yes.
And now they're talking about critical thinking. So there's a movement among many conservatives to do away with Black history as though it never happened. Some people will say the Holocaust never happened.
Mm.
And many people are now saying, well, the Middle Passage never happened. Those things have to be corrected, and it's our responsibility. We cannot expect other people to define who we are. And this is why I give so much credit to Cheryl and Wade Hudson for publishing this book, because it makes an effort to show our relationship with Africa, and that we are descendants of Africa, and we have a relationship with Africa.
Mrs. Freeman, what is your process of illustrating? Once you receive a manuscript to illustrate, what are your next steps?
After reading it and rereading it a few times, the first thing I usually do when it's a biography is go to Wikipedia, go to Google, start doing my own research and reading up about the person. And like I mentioned earlier, I watched videos and found lots of photographs of the areas and maps and the Adinkra symbols and so on. Once I feel like I've done a sufficient amount of research, I start doing sketches. I'm usually given the manuscript in pages, so that I asked Cheryl to break it up for me so that I knew which words went on what page, so that I could focus just on each page one at a time. And I use Photoshop. I went in to Photoshop and I did sketches that were in black and white. They go back to Just Us Books, where the art department, the art director goes through, and sometimes things come back for revisions. They always come back for revisions because it is a process. It was back and forth, and I listen to what Cheryl has a lot of expertise and knowledge about what she needs, and then once I get feedback, I go into making the final illustrations in color.
How long does that process usually take?
A few months.
A few months. Okay. Oh, good. You know, one of the questions that we get every time is some for a young person, if they're interested in maybe becoming an illustrator or becoming an author, what is some advice you would give them?
If you're interested in being an illustrator, I think that the most important quality to have is persistence, perseverance. If you really want to do this, you have to stick with it, because I like to tell people that it took me 25 to 30 years to become an overnight success. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you just have to stick with it. And during that time, you're going to grow as an artist, as a writer, you know, and if you really want it, you just have to keep striving for it, and you're going to improve. And as you get better, other people will start to notice you.
Absolutely. How about you, Mr. Perkins? If a young person is interested in history or maybe just becoming an author, what's some of your advice you would give them if they wanted to get into that, writing children's books or any type of book?
I think you said earlier, books are important. And sometimes you can determine the destiny of children by going into their homes and seeing what books that they have. So children need to learn reading at a very early age. That to me is the foundation for a good education. When I was young, I read all of Charles Dickens' books. I love Charles Dickens. Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, The Christmas Tree. And I was 9, 10 years old reading those books. So I would encourage young people to read as much as you can, because that's the motivation that will encourage you to participate in writing if you choose to do so. I taught literature at Chicago State University for 10 years. And you have to be receptive to criticism and constructive criticism. But children, and this is why I admire your bookstore, because you are selling books for children. And you find that children, when they are some children are reading at 3 or 4 years old.
It's true.
Need the formative years are the most critical years in the human development cycle.
Yeah.
But it begins early. And reading, I think, is the foundation for that.
Well said.
I'm looking forward to coming to your bookstore.
Oh, please do. Yes, because you're in Chicago, right?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes,
not far. I'm in St. Louis, so yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so I think we're coming towards time, but I really, really appreciate having all my panelists on. Thank you, Ms. Davis and Ms. Flynn, for the award and presentation in the beginning. Thank you, Ms. Freeman and Mr. Perkins, for giving us and blessing us with this beautiful book, this slice of history that we can't forget, because, you know, they say if you forget history, you're doomed to repeat it. And we want to make sure that we are teaching our children. And one other thing too you mentioned about having books at a young age, it also is a bonding time, right? It's an opportunity for one generation to teach the other generation, for parents and children to be together and sharing this knowledge and going through it. That's why it's just such a beautiful experience. So please go to icme.com, pick up a copy of this book, Kwame Nkrumah's Midnight Speech for Independence. Also, shout out to Just Us Books for putting this all together, bringing us all together here this evening. You guys are pioneers in children's literature space. And thank you so much for everything that you have done. And we just want to keep, passing that torch and keep passing it on, for future generations to benefit as well. Feel free in St. Louis, when you guys are able to travel, come and visit us here. I would love to have you in person. But until then, much success with this title. And thank you again, ICME Spotlight. Take care and enjoy your evening.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yo, what's up? It's E2000. Woo, I'm representing ICME. Let's do it. Aha! I see me, 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 I see me. Help bunch of them see themselves in history. I see you, but I don't see me. That's what we do, help children see. And we give them self-esteem about themselves in history. I see me is all about fun and games, from modern days to King James. It's educational in many ways that memorizing people back in the days, such as Daniel in the lion's den, or Moses finding the 10 commandments. African Americans are not just poor, as shown in verse 44. I see me, positivity, and now I see that I contributed in the making of the United States. But wait, I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things, and now I see that I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things, and now I see that we have books of biblical characters for young children as a chauffeur to drive them to understand the Bible, so they can create biblical idols. Children need to have a sense of history, so the Bible is not a mystery. When children see all the many black contributions, and they too will try to find some solutions. Children learn by playing with others, such as their sister, brother, father, and mother. That's what ICME does. Make family begin to teach about black heroes. I see me, positivity, and now I see that I contributed in the making of the. But wait, I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things, and now I see that I once was a great nation. I was once king of Spain. I invented so many things, and now I see